being just under capacity leads to death. Not at capacity, on overcapacity, just under capacity leads to death. Hey, my name is Brian. Welcome to my Garage Bible Study. Last week, I started taking a look in the book of Ephesians, and we looked at how there are Gentiles and Jews. I'm not talking about the races, Gentiles and Jews, but I'm talking about the metaphor for Gentiles, people who are far from the commonwealth of God and the community of God, and Jews, people who are in. Again, not that if you're a Jew, you're automatically in a good relationship with God. Not that if you're a Gentile, you're automatically outside of a good relationship with God. It's just, this is a metaphor that's used in the New Testament. We talked about how we are to take off the old self, our natural inclination, our natural Gentile ways. We make a decision every day to take it off, and every day we make a decision to put on the new self, to put on the image of Christ, to put on His identity. When we don't do this, our life is going to be filled with clamor, filled with noise, filled with stress, filled with anger. Let's read here in the verse 25. It says this: "Therefore, having put away falsehood," that's what happens. You put away the old self, putting away falsehood, "let each one of you speak the truth with his neighbor, for we are members of one another." I'm going to speak the truth to you. Is that okay? I'm going to speak the truth to you. And oftentimes we hear speaking the truth and we kind of clench our butt, like, go. Speak the truth means you're going to tell me something I don't want to hear. No, I'm not going to tell you something you don't want to hear. I'm going to tell you something that's going to be life-giving for you today. The truth isn't always painful. No, it's not. The truth is actually very life-giving, and I want to give you life today. And it continues. "Be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger, and give no opportunity to the devil." Be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger. I don't know that we've ever had a culture filled with more anger than we do right now, at least not in my lifetime. It seems like everybody's angry all the time. And part of the reason is because no one's taking off their old self. Everyone's just naturally doing whatever they want to feel and whatever they want to do, and filling our lives up with all kinds of things that just don't work. There's a commentary I read on this passage. I just want to quote it for you because I think it's pretty interesting. It says this: "All those endeavors which the Gentiles put forth in order to attain happiness end in disappointment." Another way you could say is that all those endeavors which normal Americans put forth in order to attain happiness, they end in disappointment. Their life is one long series of mocked expectations. It is a pursuing and not achieving, a blossoming and not bearing fruit. All the rivers run into the sea, but the sea is never filled. That's us. Everyone's searching, everybody's seeking, everyone's aspiring, everybody's clamoring, everybody's doing, everybody's feeling, and very few people are feeling fulfilled. And this results in massive anger. It's interesting, this verse says, "In your anger, do not sin." Actually, some verses translations say, "In your anger, do not sin." This one actually says, "Be angry and do not sin." So there are some things it's okay to be angry about. There are. I'm angry about forced child prostitution. I'm very angry about that. I'm angry about preachers that give people legalism and lead people away from actually the life of Christ. I'm angry about that. I'm angry about human trafficking. I'm angry about a lot of things. I'm angry when I watch something on my TV and it's just another example of a culture that's trying to brainwash me into a sense of morality that is not true morality. So I can be angry. In fact, if you're never angry, there's probably a problem here because you've totally given in, you've totally caved. So it's okay to be angry, but be angry and do not sin. When you're angry, you can't do something that God doesn't want you to do afterwards. I'm angry at somebody, at a preacher who's preaching legalism. I can't sin and go and beat him up. Can't do that. I'm angry at somebody who believes something different than I am, or it was a politician or something like that. Okay, I'm angry, but I'm sinning if I'm not praying for that person. Be angry, or in your anger, do not sin. And you can really get over your anger. It doesn't have to, some of us are in perpetual anger all the time. Now, we don't know it because we think anger means I'm totally punching a hole in the wall all the time, or anger means I'm always swearing. No, you can be very quiet and very mild and be very angry, to have an internal rage that's happening all the time, to be noticing things that are happening that are not right. And it says here, do not let the sun go down on your anger, meaning you have to get over it. You have to stop it. You can get to a new place with it. My wife and I, when we have fights, my wife Libby and I, when we have fights, for some reason it generally happens at night. And whenever it happens at night, I know the Bible says don't let the sun go down in your anger, but we rarely can patch it up that night. So the way I look at it is, hey, the sun's already down. Let's go to bed mad. And then when we get up the next day, I got to make sure we patch this up before the sun goes down, because the sun's already down right now. I want to patch it before we go to bed, but sometimes you can't. Sometimes you're angry when you go to bed. The point of this verse isn't a legalistic thing that says you must have it done when the sun goes down now, and now God's mad at you. The point of this is work to alleviate your anger, get rid of your anger. One of the best things you can do to get rid of your anger is to operate under capacity. Just had a guest on my podcast, a time management expert. He talked about the ringing effect. I've never heard of the ringing effect. The ringing effect was coined by Robert Monson, who actually wrote a textbook on this. And the theory of it is when a highway is 80% capacity, it's actually under capacity. 80% capacity of highway, everything is fine. You can go the speed limit. You can go faster if you want to. If you see somebody who's pulled off on the side of the road, you can tap your brakes and just see what it is and go right by them. Everything is fun. Everything hunky-dory. But when a highway gets to be 85%, 90% capacity, 95% capacity, all it takes is the tapping of a brake pedal to look at that stranded car. Just the tapping of that brake pedal slows that car down a little bit. The next guy has to slow his down. The next guy has to slow his down. And then you have a traffic jam that's miles long. Haven't you been in these traffic jams? They're so frustrating. And then you finally start speeding up again. And you go, what happened? Why do we stop? There wasn't any accident here. Why do we stop? We stop because that highway has a capacity, and the slightest disturbance set everything off. This is your life and my life. We are at 85, 90% capacity. We're told to be multitaskers and to maximize your time. Time management is often a ruse to maximize your calendar and jam everything inside of your calendar. I've actually had this problem with my assistant recently. She's amazing. She's awesome. I have to remind her every once in a while. I say, hey, remember, your goal is to help me run my life, not to say yes to everybody who wants to get on my calendar. You can't just look at Brian's calendar this whole week. It's all full. Everyone got in his calendar. Woo, I accommodated everybody's request. No, that's a failure for me because I will be angry because I have no bandwidth. I have no margin. I'll have a bad teaching at Garage Bible Study or the weekend service when I'm preaching because I haven't been able to put it together. No, friends, we got to bring down our capacity. We got to operate under our capacity, which the world will not have us do because the old self says, I have to be busy. I have to be productive. I have to be important. I have to show people that I'm needed. That's the old self that keeps wanting to strive. And the crazy thing is that old self causes us to be angry. It's why we're so angry and we can't get along with one another. Let's keep going here. And give no opportunity to the devil. You give an opportunity to the devil when you keep your old self on and when you stay at peak capacity. Let the thief no longer steal, but rather let him do labor, doing honest work with his own hands so that he may have something to share with anyone in need. This is interesting. We should get a job, not just so we can fund our retirement account, get a job, not just so we won't be tempted to do armed robbery, but have a job so we can share with people who are in need. How many of us choose our job or go into our work week thinking, I want to create excess financial capacity to bless other people? The old self will never do that. The new self will. Let no corrupt talk come out of your mouths, but only that which is good for building up as fits the occasion, that it may give grace to those who hear. Now I'm saying things now that we've all heard many times before. But where are you that you hear talk that builds up? The talk that we have on talk radio, on news shows, on podcasts, so oftentimes on social media feed, tear down. Friends, stop being torn down. Allow yourself to be actually built up. As verse 32 says, be kind to one another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another as Christ forgave you. That's the new self. Put on the kind-heartedness, the tender-heartedness, forgiving people who tap their brakes when they shouldn't on the highway. Be tender to one another. You start doing these things, not jamming your schedule full, operating underneath your capacity, putting on a new self of being kind and tender-hearted, and you watch how your anger just starts to go away, because we have more than enough reason to be angry, because very few people like the way our culture is going, whether you're on the right or the left. Very few people like the way it's going, and all of us have the same problem in that we're over capacity and we're operating on our old self. Don't do it. Get on capacity, do your new self, be like Christ. God, I'm thankful you give us a new heading, a new direction. We're going to go that direction. You want to just flush that anger right now. Just take your hands right now if you're still praying. Just empty. Take your hand, just empty. Let's just empty your anger. Let's empty your frustration. Empty the bitterness you have, the anger. Just empty it out. Drop it. We drop this at your feet, Jesus. Amen. We'll see you next time on My Garage Bible Study.